If geometric constraint control relationship, which by the way we have covered in our last video, dimensional constraint control the exact size. Without them, your sketch is just floating. Dimensional constraint fix length, angle, radii with precise numbers. They are what that turn a rough sketch into a fully defined design. That's why, all these engineering software are known as parametric, because everything in sketch is controlled by a certain parameter that we define. Now, when we talk about FreeCAD, you're gonna see length constraint, which kind of, lock or constrain your length. Then there is an angle constraint that you can utilize to control the angle between, let's say, two line segment. Then there is a radius constraint, diameter constraint, and lock point. And why I just only talk, let me quickly show you how you can utilize dimensional constraint in your FreeCAD sketcher. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so now we are in our PC screen. And now let's talk about the first dimensional constraint. And actually, before I can show you what does that mean, let me also plot something here in SketchUp. So what I did here is I just created a line segment, and let's also start with our first constraint, which is also known as length constraint. For that, let's go here in this dimension, and then from here I'm going to choose this first option, which is dimension. After choosing dimension, all we need to do is we need to select the line or line segment and then make another left click, and now you can give it a number. Let's say, for example, I want a line segment of 50 mm. I just entered 50 mm, and then you just saw there is a change in the overall appearance and length of this line segment. And now, since we have provided a value to it, now here you can see the size of this line segment got locked. And if I, let's say, undo it, now here if I again hold it from one edge, now here you can see the size is unlocked and I can change its value dynamically. But after we provided this dimensional constraint and provided the value, now the length of this got locked. But still, you might be seeing, although we have locked the length, but the angle is still not locked. So that I'm gonna show you in our next constraint, which is angular constraint. For that, again, I'm gonna go here in dimension, and then from here I can select constraint angle. Okay, now here you can give it a value, for example 45, and there we go. So now if again I hold it, although you can see I can move this sketch, but the angular value remain constant. Now we are not able to change the angle. Now it's not like we always need to select these constraints like this, but just I was explaining you, the best way to create the dimension is using smart dimension, which is the top one. Now let's say I would like to create an angular constraint. In that case, I can simply select this line segment, which of course gonna give me the length constraint. But when you press Control and select the another reference, now you can see the software is intelligent enough and understood my context, as I need constraint that formed by this line and this x-axis. Now I can hit OK, and in this way, guys, now again, what we did is we applied this angle constraint. Now let me also do one more thing, which is what we have learned in our last video, which is coincident constraint. Now what I'm going to do here is I am going to select this x-axis and this point, and now here you can see that we have fixed this line segment in this x-axis. Now I can move this line segment in x-axis, but I cannot move it up and down or in any other direction. Now let me do one more thing here, but before that I also have to add point here. Maybe I can add point here, and again this time I'm gonna say coincident constraint. Now we just saw how we can utilize different dimensional constraint, and we also mixed it with geometric constraint, which is all these constraints, and we covered in our last video. Now let's also talk about other type of constraint. For that, I'm gonna form another shape here. So here you can see this is a circle, and again maybe I can use some of geometric constraint. For example, here I'm thinking of using coincident that will make this circle on x-axis. Now of course I can move it in x-axis, but it won't go in any other direction. But there is one more thing which still is variable, which is the dia of the circle. So let's also try to control the dia, using dimensional constraint. So here again, it's not like always I need to choose constraint diameter. I can also directly choose smart dimension. But sometime, when we know the specific thing we need to choose, that time we can also simply go here and can choose the specific dimensional constraint that I would like to add. Now I'm gonna select this circle and now I can specify the value. So here I just specify the value that I need the circle of 50 mm dia. Okay, and now here again you can see I am not able to increase the size of it, although I can also move it in X direction. Now let's also limit its movement, making it fully constrained by providing one more constraint, and this time again I'm gonna provide a dimensional constraint where I will be specifying the value of this from here, and let's make it 50. Now here we can see the circle is completely constrained and I cannot move it in any direction. So that's how, guys, we can utilize dimensional constraint, which I would say is very important, and without these dimensional constraint we cannot complete our sketch. Now there could be some additional dimension, as I was mentioning. For example, additional to this diameter I am adding a radius here, so I'm gonna say radius and it is 25. Now I'm gonna say reference. Now here you can see that this radius value is reference. Okay, now in order to increase the text written size, what we can do is we can go to edit preferences, and here you need to look for sketcher module, and here we have got option of display. Now I can increase this value. Let me make it 26 such that the text is more visible, and there we go. So here on the behind now you can see it looks bigger now. If you also want to adjust more thing, then here we have got option to further customize it. And also I have made a dedicated video in the past regarding workspace customization in FreeCAD. So do check that video out. I'm gonna also put that in the description of this video. Now the values look more readable and better. Now there is one more topic that got left, and I would say is very important concept, which is concept of degree of freedom. That of course we're going to cover in our next video.